So due to intemperate weather, I'm recording in the house, but I didn't move my desk back
Oh,
because I didn't have time because I had to do some deadbolt stuff. So I'm sitting at a table and I have the Shure Beta 87A connected to the H4. Going to the typical setup, just different microphone. As far as the setup goes, I'm just using the 87A. My Earthworks is too heavy for the tripod floor stand that I bought. I don't know. I think I bought this like 10 years ago or something.
ah, gotcha.
So got a tripod floor stand, mic on an arm, but because of how I'm sitting, I'm having to kind of turn to my left to talking to the microphone. And I'm also sitting on a flat little, bench that doesn't have a back. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, we will make it through it though, because we are recording early this week. So if anything breaking happens in the next 2 days,
we probably wouldn't have covered it anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't expect us to ever cover that news.
It has to be something that affects us. I don't know. We don't cover news. Basically, we don't cover news. See, it's hard not to look toward the laptop because I'm used to my microphone coming across the top of my laptop.
You need to close mail because that's a thing. So, yeah, do we want to mention what we offered our tip jar subscribers, and it can be our monetary support of this show?
Sure. We can go ahead and mention that. So last week we offered to our tip jar subscribers in the bonus content portion of the show, which I think ended up being about 30 minutes or something, probably.
It did. No, it was 20, but still pretty damn close. Am I loud to you?
No.
Okay, I am loud to me, so I need to fix that. So go ahead.
So you probably need to pull a slider down because
I needed to pull a slider down, but for some reason that has you. Hold on, you might need to come up a little bit.
And Mike has mixed up his audio connection. Hold on one sec, because I don't know if this is going to beep, but I'm going to do a backup recording.
Yep.
And it did beep.
Yeah. Bring your audio up a tiny bit if you can.
All right. Give me a sec. Let me get to the appropriate settings. Output settings. There we go. All right. Tell me if that's better.
Yeah, you should be good.
All right. It's weird. I have not used this microphone in a while.
I like this microphone.
Because for a while it was the USB, the Audio Technica 2005. And then as soon as I set the boom arm and all that stuff up, I put my Earthworks microphone up there. But this has been in my backpack, in the little Shure carrying case that comes with it, with a mic clip and an adapter already screwed into the bottom of the mic clip just in case I need it, and with a very short XLR cable.
Ready to go.
Ready to go, man. Just throw you a H4 or H6 in your bag and you're good.
So last week we had a 20-minute extra show, bonus show.
That's why you should go to technicallyworking.show and click on that support us with the tip jar link, and you will get that content. But we will share the offer that we gave to our tip jar subscribers. So we talked about.
Make the listeners wait for a minute. Usually Demasi does this, but I want to shout out the support of our listeners before we get into it, because you guys are amazing and we really appreciate those of you who said, Michael made a mistake. Let me go fix that mistake, and had no problem jumping in. One of our tip jar subscribers even upped their tips. So definitely think you deserve a shout out, and thank you very much. I don't know if you're going to get a bonus show today, but we do greatly appreciate that. So I want to throw that in there and the beginning. And
Absolutely. We do appreciate it. And Michael's been sharing the emails that have come in from people resubscribing. So definitely appreciate our supporters for sure. For sure. Let me
But
go
now we can get
because I'm looking.
into it.
So last week we did talk about Jetpack CRM, and Michael shared a little bit about how he's currently using it and has apparently been using it for like the past year and a half. And I just want to where he was still using it. And what we offered to our subscribers, and we'll offer it here, is you can sign up through us as a reseller to get a license for Jetpack CRM. And this is your own license. I should clarify that. Like, it's not like we're sharing a license and just trying to charge people for it. This is a own standalone license for your site. And we are offering at what price, Mike?
$120, which is
40%
thank
off
you.
of the regular price.
We did some funky math last week, and I don't think listeners are going to hear it. I think I cleaned it up good enough, but 120, which is 40% off. And I think we should end this at some point. What do you say, end of the year or something?
Yeah, I'll say we will run this up and through, not until, we'll run this through December 31st. So on January 1st, 2025, the deal goes away. But this is not a Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Cyber Week sale.
The first year, and
like
then we'll treat you the next year.
Right. Now, if you sign up while we're running this special, you will maintain that price of $120 for the entirety of the time that you have your license.
And the reason I think this is a good fit, and Demasi's kind of used this a little bit. I don't know how much he's actually used Jetpack CRM, but for what I've used it for, and that is currently just invoicing and quoting, it is the most accessible system I've gotten to work. And you might think, oh, it's in WordPress, so it's going to be accessible, but that's not the case. There's inaccessible tools in WordPress. I just appreciate the details. And now that I'm using some of the resources that are in the plugin more, because I'm like, well, I need to actually start, getting down and using this, because eventually we're going to produce some training material on using it. There's a hint at some future pay-on-media content. But we need to leverage the skip to main content link, which, guess what, actually drops you to where you expect it to. If you're in the settings and you hit skip to main content, my focus on the Mac at least jumps to the very first setting that you can change link. But if you're actually on an invoice, for example, and you hit skip to main content, it drops you to the top of the table for the invoice data and stuff like that. So I've just found this to be very reliable, and it goes towards what Demasi and I have been major advocates of, and that is maintaining your data and your information, because everything's done on your WordPress site. So you're not reaching out to one of these third-party systems that, frankly, you don't know what's incentivizing them to not share your data with any other third party to make money off of it. You're using your data on your site.
Yeah, and that brings in that level of control that allows you to honestly say, because you should be aware with your hosting company, wherever you're hosting, whether you're self-hosting or you're hosting through a company, what they do with your data. And you can honestly, you don't have to do the cop-outs, which I have to do too in privacy policies. Like, I use Stripe, for example, for payment processing. So I have to tell people that payment processing is handled by Stripe, XYZ information, which is typically your name, your email address, and stuff like that, is going to be shared with Stripe. But then I have to point you to Stripe's terms and conditions and privacy policy for what they actually do, right? Because I can't control Stripe. I'm not that big. I kind of don't really want to be that big. And if I had enough money to make Stripe listen to me, I probably wouldn't want to talk to them. But the thing is, I have to point people off site, right? And it's the proper way of doing it. And you see it in a lot of places, and it's not a cheat. I just can't duplicate their entire terms and conditions, there on my privacy policy. However, having something like Jetpack CRM on your site means that, as far as customer data, their interactions with you, that's all running through you. So, if you're doing your security right, and you're not sharing data, make your own choices about what you choose to do. You can honestly say that you're not sharing their data with anyone except for, and then you have to mention your email marketing, which is another reason to run your own email marketing solution, which
Yeah,
we've
but do you
used
want to get
Cindy.
into email as
Well,
a
so here's the thing though, right? I was going to say, I used to use Cindy. I'm still an advocate of Cindy. I think it's a nice solution. There's another one that I've heard of. I have not used it at all myself. And I can't remember the name of it, so I won't mention it. But there are options out there that let you self-host your own newsletter, so you are in control of that system. But there's also some ways I think that we can leverage one of our favorite tools, Gravity Forms and some other plugins to make a lightweight. If you're not trying to do mass marketing, if you're trying to get into the mass email marketing where you're sending out to hundreds of thousands of people, you probably ain't interested in this solution because it's not going to be the thing for you. If you want something like that, I think Cindy would scale. But for a lot of us small business owners, we may have a few thousand people that we're emailing.
if we're lucky.
If we're lucky. We may have a few thousand people that we're emailing. You probably it's easy enough to get a few thousand people on the list. It's more or less how many of those few thousand are actually paying customers is the thing.
Yeah.
But I think that there are ways, and Jetpack CRM does have some built-in email marketing tools. So that's one avenue to explore that I actually have not explored, and will be.
Funny, I was just logging in to see what options were available.
Yeah, they integrate. So they do have integrations for those of you that are using, say, MailChimp or Aweber or ConvertKit. There are integrations there for those directly. But they do have their own, they're kind of built in email marketing. I haven't explored it enough, and I don't remember what I read a year or so ago about it in order to give you a real thorough explanation of it. But there are options where you can use what's on your WordPress site to handle, some basic email marketing to your customers or notifications, getting them out to your customers. So again, having as much control of your data as you possibly can. And that allows you to really protect your customers' privacy, which is what it's more about, right? For me, it's more about providing as much privacy as I possibly can. In the world we live in today, where everybody's a data broker of some sort, seems, I think it's one of these government agencies is going after data brokers to try to limit what information about people they sell. And if they get into the space of selling your social security number, we're going to classify you as a credit reporting agency at that point, which changes the rules that you have to adhere to. How about not letting any of those people sell my data without my permission? Like maybe get there. But hey, baby steps, I guess.
Yeah, it looks, that's pretty cool.
There's segmentation, whether you're doing email marketing in Jetpack. I think that's what Mike may have just run across as one of the segmentation features.
Yep.
But you can segment your customers as well. There's ways to build funnels. I remember, what was it, Mike, 8 years ago or so? Like everybody was about the funnel. You got to get people in your funnel.
Yeah, I blame Russell Brunson for that one. What did he call that one? Anyways, .com funnel or something like that. And he pushed that in the internet marketing business quite a bit. And then
everybody was all about the funnels. And essentially, for anybody listening that's not familiar with that marketing speak, essentially you put something out to kind of lure people into getting into your system, right? So essentially you think about a funnel. The top of it is wide. You're going to have a lot of people at the top of that funnel, but you're going to have certain individuals or businesses that are going to slowly filter through that will follow the path you want them to follow and ultimately end up dropping out the bottom, which means they're giving you money at that point. And, there's kind of ways to track stuff like that. What I like about Jetpack CRM, the funnel idea is just an idea. It is not really anything essentially different from what you do with business marketing anyway. You're going to try to touch as many people that you think your content or your services or your products are relevant to, and in hopes that you can convert a great deal of those that interact with your content into paying customers. It's just, he put a fancy name on it, called it a funnel. But Jetpack CRM does have the ability, which is a nice thing, for you to track the life cycle of a customer.
Yes.
And that's like, when did this person come in? Okay, this person was a lead. This is a lead because they reached out to, Michael. We're going to use Michael's business for an example. So somebody reaches out to Michael for voice work, or to find out what type of voice work he does, or what type of media stuff does he handle. And that person in the, lingo of the businesses, they're now a lead, because that's a potential business, customer.
Yep.
But they haven't spent any money. They haven't done anything. They just reached out. You made contact, whether you made contact or they made contact, they're now a lead. And you track people through that entire funnel. So how many leads did you start off with? And you can look back at the history of a customer in Jetpack and see that, John reached out, 15 months ago, but 9 months into that is when John went from, just being a potential customer to actually hiring me for work. And now John is still a customer. And if you really get down into the analytics and the numbers of it, if Michael was paying for advertising anywhere, he could track what was the cost per acquisition there.
Right. So John spent $700 with me over the last 6 months that he's been a customer, even though it took me 15 months to get that $700. So then when I break that up, how quickly do I need to recoup the amount of money that I spent? So let's say I spent $100 to get John in advertising. Hopefully you're not spending that much money to get a customer. But if you spend $100 and then you can look at your numbers and see, so on average, if I spend $100 to get a customer, they become a lead, and 8 to 10 months after they become a lead, of course, we want to close people a lot sooner than that, but just throwing some numbers out there, 8 to 10 months, they become a lead. And then after they become a lead, they spend on average $1,000. I'll spend $100 all day long, every day, if that's the averages that my customers
bring in. That is a 10x increase, right? On what it costs you to acquire that customer. And in a lot of cases, you can get down to that level, but a lot of times, even throwing out a $20 ad, if it brings you 2 customers and they spend $300 a piece, like it was worth that $20 that you spent. And that's really what you're trying to figure out as a business owner. Does the money I'm spending make sense for me to be spending? And that's analysis you have to do routinely, if not constantly, in a small business. It's one of the things that I've had to get back into doing, and just analyzing, like, okay, what am I paying for each month? What is this charge for? Why am I paying GitHub for this? I don't even use GitHub right now. So let's cancel that subscription. It's only $4. And if you look at it as it's only $4, well, yeah, you're just like, well, I got $4. I can pay them $4. Over the course of the year, it's, I don't know, what's $48. $48. But
if you're not making $48 on that tool, then why are you paying for it?
Right. Like, where's the benefit to what I'm paying for? Now, if me paying that $48 a year allows me to build out, and why I was paying for GitHub is because I was doing a lot of WordPress projects in Git, and using Git to deploy those sites. So it was a part of my overall tool chain. So if I'm making $1,500 to develop a website, well, that more than covered the cost of GitHub, and that's just one customer. Using it on more than one customer site, though.
Well, you and I had a program. What did we sell it for? Was it $199 or was it $299? Do you remember?
I don't.
Okay, so we'll say $200. We posted 2, and I'm not saying that this will work for everything, but we posted 2 blind bargains ads. We'll say 3. We posted 3 blind bargains ads, and that's all we paid for. So we paid $15. Really, when you think back on it, we really didn't market outside of those blind bargains ads, and we brought in $3,000 off of that. So it was well worth
just about.
Yeah, it was well worth that $15 investment. But you got to know where your audience is and what makes the most sense to invest in. And I struggle with that right now. And I think that's why things are not all, I'm getting more clear. I don't know if that's right, but more clear about who it is that I want to work with and where it is that I want to actually spend my time and energy to get people back into my funnel, for say, to come in and spend money. But I right now don't know where my ideal customer is, and I need to spend some time sitting down thinking about that and mapping some stuff out, because once I know where my ideal customer is, then I can start creating content based around that ideal customer. And honestly, some of you listeners might be an ideal customer because you're listening to the show, curious, how are these small business owners making things move in their business? And maybe you need some voiceover work done. Feedback at technicallyworking.show. But the point is you got to figure out where it is that your customers are in order to start investing time, energy, and effort to be able to make that return on your investments.
Right. And your investment includes not just what it costs for you to post an ad, say on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or whatever, or Blind Bargains. Blindbargains.com, $5 to post you an ad.
JJ, if you're listening, you need to bump that up to like $7 or $9.
So, it's not just the cost of advertising or marketing, but you have to think about the time that goes into, creating the content that you are creating. If you have a content strategy for acquiring customers and showing your expertise, the time that you have put in to gain the expertise or to build a product or to, come up with the ideas, there's a lot that goes into it. And at some point you want to recoup, all of that. Like I sit here and look at vending, for example. Mm-hmm. And I look at the cost to me, just in general, like not even really getting down too deep in the weeds, because if I did, I'd probably get mad and break stuff. But the cost to me to spend 6 months learning this program, and then the cost to me to get off the ground and up and going in the, continuous cost. There's the obvious on the face of it cost that everybody's aware of, which is, you have to buy product and then you have to turn around and move that product and get it put out into machines so that it can be purchased. And that is how you make your money. But there's a lot of tangible and intangible costs that come along with running any business, and especially with this business. There's the cost of gas, which is not a cost I've had to factor in before I've had to factor in transportation for sure, but not a constant everyday. Like I don't make any money if there's no transportation happening, right? It's not a thing, because I've been a consultant or web developer for most of my time being self-employed, whether it was running a business or just operating as a freelancer. I didn't have to go anywhere. It didn't matter where my customers were. I could serve people in the UK just as easy as I could serve somebody in Atlanta, Georgia. Cause 9 times out of 10, I'm not leaving my house. Mm-hmm. It was a Zoom call or Google Meet or a phone call.
But Zoom or Google Meet or phone call was your gas.
Yeah, exactly. But that was kind of, built into everything else I was doing. For example, Google Meet comes along for free with Workspace, which I paid for the email, right? Mm-hmm. Or the phone. Well, I got to have a phone. So, that was easy. For a while, the Zoom 30-minute meetings actually worked. You get to the business. I don't like to do I don't do small talk anyway. So, we can really dispense with all of that. You don't know my family. Don't ask me how they're doing. It's like, even if you genuinely care, like, you don't know them, like, it's not a topic of discussion. But there's a lot of intangible costs. There's gas, which is again a thing you got to expect. There's paying an employee, right? And for me, there's payroll, for example, and many vendors that I know don't have that payroll overhead to deal with. One of the people I consider to be a friend of mine that I've met as a vendor, his wife works with him. There's quite a few vendors I know of where their spouse is their help. And, I don't know the ins and outs of it, tax wise or anything like that. But I know when you are a married couple and your spouse is, working with you, there's, you don't have to go payroll your spouse. Like, right. It's not a thing that's necessary. Yeah. That's why Mike doesn't pay Mallory now.
Well, I was going to say, Mallory's going to go do this video project with me, and we've already talked to her because I'm getting paid. And I'm like, no, you need to get paid something for the work you're doing. But I'm not going to go set up payroll just to pay her this contract.
No, you just give your wife some money.
Yep.
Here, go buy some shoes.
I'm sorry. We just got disconnected. Damn
So
shoes.
shoes, man, shoes. Man, yeah, that's a deep cut though too on the shoes. DM
79, I think.
Oh, okay. It was a little later than I thought. I actually thought 67 first. I was like, that seems a little late.
Yeah.
I thought that was earlier, but no, you're probably right.
Unfortunately, I can't go search for it.
Yeah, I got to fix that. But for me, I don't have a spouse that can drive. So, I don't have that luxury, or that ability rather, because who knows how much of a luxury it is.
Right.
But I don't have that ability. So the easiest way for me to deal with it and just wipe away a bunch of potential headaches for me and trying to figure this out and figure that out. And, is there a loophole here or a pathway there? Look, just payroll people, pay for the payroll software. Cause you definitely don't want to do payroll by hand. Trust me. I've done it. I have actually done it. And yeah, it is absolutely worth to me. And that's again, another one of those cost analysis things. Yes, it cost me about anywhere between, what would be the number? $45 or more a month, for payroll software. But that's the flat rate for the payroll software. There's $2 for the individual when I pay them in that month. And then there's a couple extra bucks to it, $2 or $4 per person for them to have the ability to access the mobile app so they can punch in and punch out the time tracking feature. So they can actually punch in and punch out instead of somebody manually keeping track of hours. Again, a whole lot easier. Is it worth the money for me to do it? Absolutely. Because I've done payroll by hand. And granted, I did use a website that calculates the appropriate taxes. When you punch in the right numbers, it looks at, the taxes for the state that you're doing them in and gives you all the right information. But I'm still having to manually sit there and do that. That also meant I had to manually keep track of somebody's hours. Because I couldn't leave it up to them to do it. So that means I'm doing it.
And then all of a sudden you're spending all day running payroll instead of 5 minutes. And that all day means you're not out putting stuff in the spirals.
Right. There you go. And then there's the whole, then I got to pay them. Right. So write a check. I got to write a check, or I got to go withdraw cash and give it to them and then make sure I keep track of that, like somewhere that just run payroll. Like it literally took me 5 minutes, like Mike said, probably, if it took that long for me to run payroll last week, or this week rather, when I thought about it, because it was like late Monday night and I was like, crap, I gotta go run payroll. So I think they probably won't get paid
Friday. Phone yet?
I could do it from the phone, I think, in their on the web though. They do not currently have an app for the employer to do things with, as far as I know. At least I didn't find it when I searched for it. They do have an app for employees so that they can use that to kind of look at their pay. They can, if the employer is paying for it with this particular site, and I'm using Patriot for anybody, curious. I'm not trying to keep it a secret of what I'm using, but I'm using Patriot. So if your employer is paying for the time punch features, then they can clock in and clock out. And it's kind of up to me how I want that to work. So I can either give them the ability to only punch in and punch out, or give them the ability to also edit, manually go, like we're able to go in with AT guys and manually add hours, right? So if we go do some work and we forgot to clock in, we can go back and fix that.
Which happens more than one might think.
It happens way. Look, man, I did a whole
6
year.
months. Oh.
Like never clocked in. Like it had been a whole year, but it's been a good 6 to 8 months. Like I didn't clock in at all. Like never. I just went in and manually put in my hours. Now, to be fair, for a large part of that time, I was also using timing, because I'm still paying for setup. I think it's called timing. And I went in and at least spent the time to set it up for AT guys. If I'm on this website or, these documents or whatever, all, tie this stuff to AT guys projects that were related to it. So if I was on the ZenCard page at the time, or if I was in Zendesk or Shopify, that's all AT guys time. So I could easily go back and pull when I would get the notification, There's less chance to run paper,
That,
enter your
that
hours.
Friday notification, which really says this is the last time, but you still have 2 more days. But still,
Yeah, but you better get it done now. So there have been occasions where I would, especially while I was at Gentry, I would spend, some time doing, say, a demo or showing people, how a product of AT Guys worked that I happen to have with me because I actually used it. It's not just, I was carrying around AT Guys stuff like, hey, you want to buy something? It's like, it's something I used and somebody asked me about it or something. And I would sit down and go over and kind of do, what I would do at a convention or something. There's a few times, there are times where I put that time in because I remembered it. And there are times where I did not put that time in because I forgot about it. Because I wasn't clocking in and that wasn't being tracked by timing because I wasn't doing work on the Mac. I was, showing somebody the folding keyboard or helping somebody pair the Bluetooth speaker they bought or, like that. That from JJ's perspective, that would be billable, time I should be clocked in and getting paid for.
Yeah.
There's times I miss that, but it always comes down to, the practicality of things in a lot of cases. For example, like I still pay for SetApp, because there are enough apps in there that I use and rely on that the 120 or 130-ish bucks a year I pay SetApp is still a few $100 or more cheaper than it would cost me to buy each app. And a lot of them are recurring subscription apps. So it's not like it's a one-time purchase and I'm done. Which, by the way, is what I used to do when SetApp first came out. I would try out an app. And I was like, oh, I like this app. I like this app. And then I would just go buy it. Like Downey. I own Downey.
And that one's what, like $7 or something? Like it's
I think it's like $20 or something.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I've been upgrading Downey since I paid for the first one, even though right now, because I will also sometimes go off of SetApp because it's like, really doesn't make all that sense. I don't need this. Like I may go off of SetApp right now for a little while now that I'm sitting here thinking about it because I don't use timing all that much anymore. I actually have a license for OpenN, which is the browser selector that I use. Is why I can click on a link for Zoom and it opens automatically in Zoom and I don't have to do that weird Safari dance. Or I can say if I click on a Zendesk link, launch it in Chrome on Windows, and that works.
Oh, wait a minute. So OpenN will let you pick Windows apps too?
Yes. I mean, if they show up to the system, like Chrome for Windows, yeah.
Okay. I might have to play with OpenN again because I used to play with that one for a little bit and I just didn't have it set up the way that I wanted it to work. And I just didn't honestly give it enough time. But that's one of those apps that I should probably just download and play with a little bit more.
That's a cool app. It's a really cool app. And you have the ability to script things so you can have your using JavaScript. So, GPT or Claude should be really good at that. And you can write scripts to parse a link to figure out, where do I want this to open? If it's a, Zoom, I'm trying to think of, I don't really have a good example for this because I don't necessarily use that feature.
Right.
I can think of one. Like if I click on a Google Docs link, for example, and if I were able to figure out what distinguishes a Google Doc link that is a AT Guys link from a Bedrock Innovations account link, open it in a different browser. Like that's, things like that are something you could do. Or if I'm in the mail app and I click a link, do this. But if I'm in,
messages,
open that app. Yeah. Like there's different things like that you can do with it. Super nice app is one of those that I paid for because it's upgrade pricing versus a constant subscription. I'm trying to think what else is in SetApp at the moment that I actually use.
Nothing.
Downey, still use Downey. Permute is an app that I use quite a bit to convert files.
Yeah.
Like that's a good app. Although I should, I've been using Pandoc on the command line actually. I got to go play with Caliber on the command line.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Caliber's pretty cool. Pandoc works for the most part, but there's a couple of things that Pandoc's like, nope, can't do that. Got to use something else to do it. And so ChatGPT introduced me to Caliber.
I was not aware. I've known about Caliber, and I've actually used it before to convert an ebook format to a more open ebook format in the past. But I wasn't really aware that there was a command line interface for Caliber. So I think you mentioned that you had been using it in Terminal and you hadn't actually opened the app,
Nope.
like used the actual app at all. I was like, oh, well, that'll get around some of the jankiness about that app that I didn't like, which is why I don't use it.
Yep. It's all about the command line for me. Well, not all, but. And then jumping over to launch bar and typing terminal TERM for me, and then hitting space, and then my last command right there. That is nice. I really like that, running terminal commands from launch bar.
That is a nice feature. That's funny. Your terminal shortcut is TERM. That's too much time. I'll just type CLI and then hit return.
Huh. I don't know why I never, probably because I never typed like WP-CLI or whatever. That makes sense though. CLI for command line input.
Yep. That gets me to terminal.
Yep.
All the time for people listening, if you are a launch bar user, the way that you can set your own shortcut for an application is get it to show up in launch bar. You can actually do it for a folder, I think, too, but get it to show up in launch bar first and then hit Command Option A. And you can type in what you want the abbreviation for that app to be.
And then Demasi discovered last year, I think it was, so after using LaunchBar for 25 years, that you can press and hold the last letter of an abbreviation, and then you don't even have to hit enter. And that is amazing. Like I hit Command Space, press and hold D, and I'm in drafts.
Yeah, I do it a lot with 1Password. Command Space, hold out a number 1, and 1Password.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, it's nice. Oh, a new feature. Well, not a new feature, but a feature that has been missing. I don't know what the problem was, but it's all of a sudden back for me. And let me not lie to you. So let me check and make sure it's still back. So Command Space, hit TR for transmit. I'm going to hit space. And it shows me my transmit favorites now. For the past 2 or 3 years, it would just quick look the application for some stupid reason. I hadn't changed anything. Have not changed anything, but it is now back, and I am happy. I went and did that the other day because I was looking to yank some backup files from somewhere, and I was like, every so often, probably like every 6 months or so, I'll hit transmit and hit space, and it'll quick look the app. And I did it the other day. I was like, my favorites. I can just arrow through them and hit return, and then I'll be connected with them.
Or type the first letter of them, and all of a sudden you're there.
And just hit return, and then I'm already connected. All right, I like this. So Mike had a little issue with his microphone. And honestly, I didn't notice it because I was like, well, Mike's probably not recording where he normally records at. And it's a little echoey. Mm-hmm. And I also have on earbuds instead of my big, they're wired earbuds, mind you. I'm not doing Bluetooth. I'm not crazy. But I do not have on my AKGs.
Right.
So that naturally, for me at least, brings the quality of the audio down a little bit. So I was like, oh, that's probably why it sounds like that. So I didn't comment on it because it wasn't horrible. Mm-hmm. But turns out Mike was using the MacBook Pro microphone the entire time.
Yeah, well, now I'm on the same microphone Demasi is on with some audio routing and stuff. But yeah, I have been, because my office is in the garage for the most part. Honestly, what I've been doing in the morning is sitting on the couch in the living room, because I don't want to get too cold, and just returning calls with the MacBook Pro microphone. And I listen to call recordings like that doesn't sound bad. You can definitely tell I'm not on a regular microphone, but it sounds pretty decent.
Probably still sound better than the person who says, I can call. How can I help you? You said what now? Who?
Yep, sure does. So, Demasi and I recorded a conversation the other day. I went and looked at the transcript of the conversation.
I forgot about that.
And it's weird to look at a transcript of a conversation that you had on the phone. Like, I don't know what made it so weird, but it was interesting. And in that conversation, our wish to Apple was that when you hit record Apple, can you somehow capture the previous 30 seconds? Because usually when you want to hit record,
this was Mike's wish.
Yeah, my wish.
I stepped on that immediately because I was like, that means that they will have to be constantly recording you.
Yes. Yes.
And
So
just discarding those recordings every so often if they actually discarded the recordings every so often.
yeah, and then we'll find out in like 3 years that they didn't actually discard them. They just moved them to your archive folder, and that's why your phone storage kept getting marked. And you have to go in and empty your archive folder.
Storage gate. Oh, I don't know where all this storage is going. I guess I need to upgrade to a terabyte phone now.
But the point is when you're recording a conversation, unless you go into it recording, you might have missed the ways that people word things in the initially intended way, because things don't typically come out the same way the next time you have to word them. So
It's usually because you're trying to think about what you said.
yeah.
And when you first said it the first time, it just came out the way it formed itself in your brain.
Yeah. And then when you hear that recording, all of a sudden, I don't know about your brain, but my brain's like, now I'm being recorded. Where's this going to be used now? Although in this day and age, I expect anytime I'm having a conversation with someone, I'm being recorded at some point.
Yeah, so I kind of don't know anymore. Like I just, it's gotten to a point that there's really no way for me, especially to know, because like I mean, look, you could honestly just be doing the thing where you're just holding up your phone, and I won't know you're holding up your phone. AI, smart glasses or something will help with that at some point in the future. Like, yeah, this person's holding up their cell phone while they're talking to you.
This person's probably recording you. Would you like to record them back?
Yeah, like, look, I got a recording of this too, just in case. So you can't go try to do some magical tricks and chop up the video and make it look like I said or did something that I didn't do.
Steve was talking on Double Tap yesterday, I think it was, I don't remember anymore, about how people sometimes pick out a couple of words of things that he says and then don't put them in context. So then all of a sudden it sounds like maybe he said Braille is dead, but listen to the whole context of the entire conversation, and he's not saying that Braille is dead. But yeah, it made me think, man, with AI, this is going to be so much more easier for people to manipulate what it is you say.
Yeah. I just want to point out, though, that Steven's been around the broadcast industry for years, and this is just a thing that people do.
Yep.
It happens all the time. Like, I hate it, and it drives me insane, but I'm also not other than doing a podcast for the past 7 years or something, like, I'm not really a broadcaster. So,
right.
Like, people take my words out of context that I said to their face, have a little bit of a problem with that. But it is a thing. Like, people will take a little bit of what you said and out of context, it sounds worse than what it was, or it can have an entirely different meaning from what you meant. It's the reason that I've had to tell somebody at this one point, I'm going to play this recording back for my supervisor. Well, make sure you play the whole recording so you get everything that happened, not just when I cursed you out.
Right.
Because I'm not saying I did not curse you out, but make sure your supervisor hears what led up to that happening that way.
Yes.
All right. You have a very nice effing day.
Recently happened, huh?
No. Oh, actually not. No,
Good.
it actually didn't happen. No, it was quite a while ago, actually. Well, we record our calls. Well, just make sure you play the whole recording, right? Don't play part of it.
I think from now on, when I get a spam call, instead of me just hanging up, I'm going to start hitting the record button and see how long it takes for them to hang up.
Okay. There's an idea. I like this. That's something to explore right there.
Yeah. Apple, can I set up a shortcut so if I answer an unknown
right. Automatically. Hey, where is that feature? Like, automatically record all my calls.
Right. Come on.
Because there are businesses out there who probably wish they had that. Like, they provide the phone to their employees. I would like for every single call on this phone to be recorded. Like, Apple won't do it. Google would.
Yes, Google would. Google. You can record with Google, right? With your Pixel? I don't remember.
I think so, but
I know you have a soundboard on your phone call.
I was going to say the last thing that they did to calls that I remember that just really stands out because it was completely unnecessary is a soundboard. So
gives you an applause.
I could applaud. Yeah, like that's great. Like, why would I do this?
I need a soundboard in Zendesk. Zendesk, if you're listening, I need a soundboard.
Oh, actually, you don't.
I have Farrago if I really wanted to make that happen.
Yeah, if you really want
Yeah.
to do it, you got Farrago.
Yeah.
Just make you a virtual device. Use that for your input in Windows, and whenever you trigger Farrago, it'll come in.
Yeah.
Please hold. Your customer service representative had to go take a
Deal with some
2-minute
business.
walk to deal with the frustrations of your over aggressiveness towards them.
So
how's your battery life on the I'm glad I remembered that, because I checked my battery about 5 minutes ago, because I have no idea where my microphone is. There it is. Okay. I checked my battery a little bit ago, because I was like, I wonder if I need to go grab a cable or something. It's like 84%.
yeah, I've gone through 4% since we've recorded in the last 49 minutes. So,
how's your battery life kind of in general with the MacBook Pro? Because you have the 16-inch M3.
oh, I can easily go all day using it without any problems. I think yesterday I got down to like 48%. Because most of the day, so I just take the AKG headphones inside, plug them into the headphone jack of the MacBook, and then I use the built-in microphone, and currently the built-in camera, and I can easily get to, it might be between 45 and 50% at the end of the day, if that's what I do. And I use it most of the day, so.
Yeah, the battery life on it just still kind of astonishes me, because you'll forget about it for a while, and then you'll look and you'll be like, really? Or it pops up, your Mac is gonna sleep if you don't charge soon. You're like, wait, what? What did you mean? Wait, when was the last time I charged it though? Oh, that might have been
Right.
like 2 days ago.
Yeah. Wait, you have to plug this thing in? I didn't. I thought it just ran and ran.
But the battery life is pretty good.
It will suck the battery when you plug in your phone.
Yeah, but that's because you're then charging
your phone. Yes.
Yeah. So it's rapidly.
It's doing what it
discharging
should
the
be doing, but I don't think. By the way, my favorite keystroke now is VOF7F7. Because that gives you the battery status real quick, and then I don't have to do VO Shift MM.
Oh,
did you not know that one?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
So go finish telling people what this.
Then you don't have to do
VO.
VOMM, and then hopefully your battery is the last thing you looked at menu extras, so it drops you right there. But if your menu extras is anything like my menu extras, you're tapping the right arrow or left arrow 14 times to try to find the right battery thing. So really just VOF7 once will give you the time. If you do it the second time, it's the battery percentage, and the third time is your Wi-Fi strength.
Yep. I wonder what it does if you're on Ethernet.
It says or it says Ethernet connected, I think.
So here's how that is handy. I'm going to use that now, provided I don't forget it. Here's what I do to check my battery though. VO Shift O, and then VO End, and it gets me down to the battery in Control Center.
See, mine doesn't. Mine gets me when I do VO Shift O. And I do VON, I get next. And then I go left, and it's play, and it's music, and it's...
Oh, it's because you've been playing music on your Mac, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Because if I go left from the end, it gets me next, and then play. So, no, my play controls are still up there. I don't know why my battery is at the end, but it is.
I bet you added battery to Control Center in system settings, because I don't have battery anywhere in my Control Center.
So that's what it is I turned it on. I probably turned it off in the menu bar, because there's some stuff that has to be up there for me to be able to open the app or something, and I didn't really need battery up there.
Yeah.
VOF7 don't use the Control Center anymore though. VOF7, I gotta start always learning.
Yes, for sure. I'm so happy to be back on the Mac, just saying.
So, giving as best you can a comparison, because we've talked about you being back on the Mac and going back to Parallels. What are your feelings about? I also need to talk with you about this script and Keyboard Maestro, because it's not automatically switching my caps lock key.
Did you enable the group?
I did.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about
I
it.
might be doing something wrong. But just in general sense, coming back to the Mac after having spent, how long were you on Windows?
About a year.
This time. Yeah, I thought so. It felt like it was about a year.
Yeah, it was about a year.
How's your feeling towards?
Actually, it was about 6 months because it was from March to November.
Yeah, so it wasn't quite a year.
Yeah.
It seemed like a year.
It did.
To keep hearing about all this Windows stuff. Oh yeah, workspaces and desktops and I was like, man, whatever. Nobody cares. Except that Spaces thing, like Apple should really figure that out, like how Microsoft did, because that would be cool.
Just turn that shit off. It doesn't work.
I do turn it off because it doesn't work, but I wish they would figure it out so it did work the way it does work in Windows. Because I had a virtual desktop app, like some little applet or something that ran that would let you make virtual desktops back in like XP in Windows 7. So Spaces are interesting to me. No, I am not, and I have not even tried it on the Mac. What is that thing? The new thing they got, because they're always doing something to try to help you organize your space. What's the latest one Apple has?
Not backs. Is it
Stage Manager?
Yep.
Is that it?
Yep. That's it. Yep.
They're always using weird names.
Yep.
Stage Manager, and then there's a feature called Center Stage, which is not have anything to do with that at all.
Yep.
But you would think it does. But what's your general kind of feel, having spent that much time on Windows and, using a laptop you were familiar with, but also during that time you did use, some different Windows laptops, Xing out, of course, the fact you're back on the Mac and you got the tools available to you on the Mac. What is your thoughts comparison wise between parallels on the Mac that you're currently using, versus native Windows on a computer?
So I've got 16 gigs allocated to my Windows Parallels machine. I was talking to someone today. I'm like, I think I might jump this up to 24 just to see if it makes any sort of difference. I don't want to call it sluggishness. I struggle at some points with the, I guess, responsiveness of Windows in Parallels. So going from Windows in Parallels to Windows on a Windows machine and then Windows back to Parallel, or Windows back in Parallels, because that's how that process worked. Because I was on the Mac Mini with Windows in Parallels, and it worked, and it was a little bit struggly, but I was able to make everything manageable. And then when I switched to the Windows machine, I'm like, oh, this is so much faster, so much smoother. My Windows keystrokes worked. For example, tapping Windows 2 would take me to the second item in the taskbar, and my control left arrow and control right arrows would work. And then I jump back over to the Mac and I'm in Parallels and I'm having to tap my right arrow key 1,000 times to get to the end of the line to be able to edit something. And that's how it was with Parallels for the longest time for me. Now that I've disabled the mission control keystrokes that control left arrow and control right arrow are assigned to, I can navigate word by word. And I think if I was to go through and make some changes to other settings and actually modify some keyboard settings inside of Parallels, I could make it a more consistent experience than what I'm currently experiencing. For me, a Windows machine and Parallels is definitely not the same thing. But if what you need to do is be on Windows for 6 hours a day to get some work done and get things working quickly, it's really nice. And I think what the best aspect of it is I get the best of both worlds. So I love Mac Mail. It is my favorite mail application. Outlook on the Mac is becoming my second favorite mail application. Just saying, I'm starting to like that more and more every day. But I enjoy that. I also enjoy the way that the Finder works versus File Explorer. File Explorer has become very clunky. It is way bloated. It's overwhelming in some instances. Whereas Finder, you switch over to Finder, you hit a keystroke, you're in your home directory, you tap a letter for a directory that you want to go to, and then you go in and get into that directory. Also, on the Mac, you have Launch Bar, and being able to trigger Launch Bar in Windows, open a folder into Finder, and do what I need to do on the Mac. Not to sound like a broken record, but it does give you the best of both worlds in order to get your work done. Now, that being said, I had someone, I'm trying to remember when this conversation came up. It was on what is either today's double tap or Friday's double tap when we did an AMA, Ask Mickey Anything. And that, one of the questions on there was asking about, how easy is it to learn the Mac if you've been on Windows your whole time? And at the end of it, I said, thanks, Stephen, for throwing me under the bus, because giving me that question is a kind of an unfair question. Not everyone has the capability of jumping between both operating systems. And I don't say that to be overly conceited at all, but it is a skill that I've picked up to be able to jump between Mac and Windows and help people understand how to navigate on Mac and Windows. And for me, I think it's the best of both worlds, especially when you get comfortable with Option Tab over Command Tab. I spent years, like probably 3 or 4 years, trying to figure out / convince myself that I actually wanted Command Tab to be my Alt Tab in Windows. And when I got over the fact that, I really don't actually want that, I'll just slide my finger over from the Command key to the Option key when I need to Alt Tab in Windows. Now it's just fluid. It just works. I think, though, virtually you can tell there are a couple of little things like Command V should be the Windows clipboard because that's Windows V, but it's actually paste. So that's a little struggly sometimes. I probably can fix that again in the keyboard settings in Parallels. I just haven't sat down and spent time configuring and modifying those settings.
Yeah, that's something I need to do, is spend more time doing that myself. I honestly haven't done it, partially because it's like, well, this works and I don't want to screw around with this actual work VM, and I need to set up a secondary virtual machine to tinker with. So if I render it unusable, I can just destroy it and not care.
I forget you can do that. Like, I forget you can have a second Windows machine in Parallels because I just used the one machine.
Yeah, me too. Also, was thinking like, I'm really probably going to end up going back to, not VirtualBox. What's the
Fusion.
Other one? Yeah.
Don't do it.
But I hear that it's not the best experience. I tried it and I couldn't get Windows to boot up and get me anywhere. So
Fusion will now go download Windows for you. I don't know if it did when you tried it.
No, it didn't. I had to go download Windows myself.
Yeah, so Fusion will go download Windows and install it kind of like Parallels does now. But it is a completely isolated virtual machine. The only way to share your files is to go in and set up a shared folder and share it with your network and then access it from the Mac that way. And to me, I don't want that. Some people need that or / want that, but to me, I love is a strong word. I am very fond of the fact that I can open a Word document from my downloads in Finder and I'm in Microsoft Word editing it with JAWS.
Oh man, that is a beautiful thing because that code is still isolated from my Mac. However, I can run Word and Excel in Windows, which means I don't have to put their crappy apps on my Mac.
Yep.
I can keep it all pristine and just install a bunch of command line tools. So I asked ChatGPT a question because this is a thing that I have an issue with, and I feel like if there was a way around this, it would solve a lot of the keyboard issues. And yes, Command V still working in Windows is very strange. Every time I do it, I'm like, wait, that shouldn't work. As soon as I do it, I'm like, oh crap, I just brought up wait, it pasted. Okay, never mind.
Dictation works in Windows now, though. The Mac dictation.
Whisper or just a regular Mac dictation?
I think Whisper will work, but regular Mac dictation, Whisper kind of was driving me crazy, man. I got to play with that again because I was having some weird issues with it. And I'm like, I'm going to go back to Mac dictation. No, I know what happened. I assigned the Whisper keystroke to activate it to the double press of the function key, which is the default dictation keystroke, I think, or that's what I've always set it to. And then when I double press the dictation key, it would pop me into Mac Whisper while I dictated. And then when I was done, it would put me back in the app that I was in. And that was driving me crazy because in Parallels, I have this issue where when I switch over to Parallels, So I set up an activity that changes my voice from Eloquence to Ava, I think it is, when I'm in Parallels, because I want to know when Windows is talking to me and not when VoiceOver is talking to me. So I wanted that voice to be different. But whenever I switch to Parallels now, I get put into something that says Control Center window. So I have to go up to the menu, go to the Windows menu, and then hit enter on Windows 11 to get actually in there. And so I was having to do that every time in order to get out of the Mac Whisper, because I'm using dictation from Mac OS, either Mac Whisper or Mac OS dictation, quite a bit when replying or adding notes to tickets now. And now that I found that play thing, I think I did like 40 tickets today.
That is absolutely 100% wrong.
What?
So where I was going with the question, with the comment I made was, I wish that, especially for those of us who have keyboards that are Bluetooth that will let you pair to multiple devices, that I could pair to the Mac, which is obvious, do that. But also, hey, device number 2, could that maybe be the Windows machine? No, can't. I have not been able to get that to work. So I said, hey, I hadn't thought about this. Let me go ask ChatGPT, how would I do this?
Mm-hmm.
So the first answer it gave me was the typical spiel you get from Parallels when you Google this or search this out on the web, which is they don't want you to do that, and it's advisable that you not do that, and it's basically not allowed for you to do that, because then you could end up in a scenario where your Windows machine has control of the keyboard and you're not able to interact with Mac OS at all. So how do you control Mac OS or even get out of the VM because your Bluetooth keyboard is paired with Windows? Right? Mm-hmm. I guess in their mind they're thinking you would put your keyboard in pairing mode, pair with Windows, and now your Mac keyboard doesn't work anymore. Well, first, I'm on a laptop, so that's not a thing. That could even happen. But, let's say I was on like an iMac or a Mac Mini or something. Okay, I get that. But this is a keyboard that pairs to multiple devices. Mm-hmm. It's not even paired to anything. Why can't I pair this second device as the virtual machine? So I explained to ChatGPT, since it was trying to tell me how to not get myself stuck without a keyboard in Mac OS. I understand the risk involved. I have a keyboard that can pair to three different devices. One of those device connections is Mac OS. I would like to have another device pairing connected to the Windows virtual machine. So it tells me how to go accomplish this, and I'm fairly certain that it's wrong.
Okay.
Because what it tells me to do is go to the virtual machine settings for the machine I'm wanting to mess with, and go to settings, go to hardware, go to Bluetooth from USB or USB and Bluetooth. Mm-hmm. Make sure that Bluetooth sharing is enabled. Well, it's already enabled. That's just the problem. Mm-hmm. And then after that, switch your keyboard to the device, to the slot or whatever that you want to use for device to, pair to Windows. Boot your Windows machine, go to settings, go to Bluetooth, click add device, allow it to search for your keyboard, and then pair your keyboard. I've tried those exact steps. That does not work. So wrong.
So if you know how to do it, feedback@technicallyworking.show, because it should be doable. Like it really should be doable.
There should be a way to get around it. Right?
Well, there are people that use a key. Apparently, there are people out there that will use one keyboard for Mac and one keyboard for their virtualized Windows and Parallels. So why can I not pair the same keyboard that has multiple device support with that, unless the keyboard that they're using?
How are they doing that?
That's what I want to know. Like, yeah, that's what I said. If you know how to do it, send us an email. I think Steven's doing it.
Yeah, I really would like to understand how to do that. Because essentially that's what we'd be doing if you have one keyboard that pairs to multiple devices. Well, that would work. But, I've tried with
Maybe you have to not share Bluetooth.
But then I would suspect that it wouldn't work at all, because then the Bluetooth adapter that Windows is using is actually the Bluetooth stack on the Mac. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know that those, I don't know. I can try doing it the opposite of what GPT just told me the wrong thing to do.
It would be a hell of a lot easier to try it Parallels if you make your damn settings accessible.
This is also very true. Who is the parent company of Parallels? You know what? I'll ask ChatGPT. It'll probably get it wrong.
Although there is one other solution to think about, and I have not played with this at all. And if, again, you have, send us an email because I suspect Demasi has not. Did you know you can integrate Parallels with VS Code now to build your virtual machines?
Hold on 1 sec. What you just said, because I did just ask. Parallels virtualization software, because otherwise it'll come back and tell me nobody owns the parallel universe that you think exists out there that really doesn't exist, but could possibly exist, but you wouldn't know because you're stuck in the universe that you're in.
But I'm ChatGPT bridging all of the universes.
I hadn't heard about this. I have seen that type of integration with other so TextMate had a similar integration. I'm not sure if it does the same thing because I know nothing about the VS Code. It's my first time hearing about it. But TextMate, remember TextMate?
Yep, sure do.
I'm
scared to install it because I'm afraid it's going to open all these weird documents I don't remember.
No, because you would have had to copy your database over.
Oh, okay. It doesn't store the database in iCloud?
No.
Okay.
No, it's stored in your library folder. You have to I did that for several years. Even when I would wipe a Mac, I would always copy my TextMate database out. So when I set up a new Mac, I could just copy it back over to where it went, open up TextMate, and hey, there are all those documents with all those code snippets that I didn't ever save anywhere. Here's the draft of that proposal I was sending somebody. Yeah, I should probably finish that or save it somewhere. But TextMate will let you interact with the files for, what was it? I'm going to get this wrong. It was VirtualBox maybe, but I could be thinking of the wrong thing. But you could.
I think you are right. VirtualBox was the one that you could run machines from the command line and start them up and stuff. So that's probably right.
Yeah. And you could. So how does, I know you don't know how it works specifically, but you got anything other than you can configure your VMs with
that's all
VS Code?
I haven't looked into it. I have no clue. No clue.
VS Code is getting a little out of control.
VS Code?
Just saying, like you're doing a little too much. It seems unnecessary. There's a link on my desktop, however, that will launch VS Code in Windows.
Yes.
Although the Mac version seemed pretty decent.
The Mac version is pretty decent. I need to reset up VS Code and play with Python. I like Python. I don't know nearly enough about Python, but that's the thing about programming. I know where to go to get help with what I need and to teach me stuff about what it is that I need to do with Python. And there's some cool things being done in Python. Just say.
Oh, yeah, man. Look, Python is what makes workspace work, dude.
Yeah.
Like Google is super. Oh, man. This is the only thing I kind of sometimes hate about
quick fun tip while Demasi's trying to remember what he hates about. Control F2 will take you to your menu bar most of the time. Control F3 will take you to your dock most of the time as well. So you don't have to have voiceover specific keystrokes. So I've gotten into the habit of when I jump into Parallels and I'm stuck in that control center window, I'll kill voiceover because ultimately I'm going to end up closing voiceover anyways. I'll hit Control F2, right arrow twice, down arrow, and then up arrow twice and hit enter. And then I'm in Windows 11. Why can you not up arrow into a menu Apple? Because that's annoying. Just saying.
That is really weird though. Like you have to down arrow into it. Then you can up arrow to loop around to the bottom, but you cannot up arrow on a menu until it's open. Until it's actually dropped down. I've noticed that too.
Yeah. So you can press enter to open a menu, though, too.
You can press enter to open
but ultimately, that menu has to be expanded for you to be able to up arrow.
Before you can up arrow to get around. Yep, it does, which is very, very weird.
Hey, ChatGPT.
I was the only person to notice that.
What?
I thought I was the only person that had actually noticed that. Like, I noticed that several years ago. I was like, that's really weird.
Right.
It's got to be like a voiceover thing or something.
Nope.
I don't know.
Nope. Even with voiceover off, you still got a down arrow.
Weird. Well, because you need the menu to drop down. I
That's
guess.
probably how
You
they
gotta
did
push
it
down.
with Apple IIe's, and they just haven't changed it.
So, in theory, the interface design guidelines state that why would you allow a person to press up to make a menu come down? That doesn't
Right.
make any sense.
Right.
So, that's how we got there. It was that kind of logic, and nobody's just ever changed it. Oh, what I was saying, sometimes what I hate about Mac GPT is you'll be at you'll have typed your prompt and sent your prompt, and then you come back to it and you want to just hit Shift 8 so you can get to where it says Chat GPT said. And a lot of times it just skips over the whole conversation like it doesn't exist and throws you up in the history area.
I asked ChatGPT, and now it's giving me all of these reasons why you can't up arrow in a menu on macOS.
Somebody did it, and Jobs said it was crap. So
I will play with Mac GPT over the next week. I'm listening to Cortex from a couple of weeks ago. I've started picking up that show again. Let's talk about Castro if you want, and then we can wrap it up for this week. And over the next couple of days, I think Demasi should listen to Monday and Tuesday's Double Tap episodes. Monday was with the gentleman who advocated for voiceover on macOS. And how that history of that in the Apple ecosystem. And then Tuesday was an episode with Sarah, I forget her last name, from Accessibility, and she talked about some of the things that Apple and iOS are doing. So good episodes. I am using Castro. What are you using for podcasting?
Still Overcast, man.
Why? Didn't they break it? Didn't he break it for a little while, or is it working fine?
No, it's working fine now.
Okay.
There's a couple of little oddball things that I don't really pay attention to. Like there's phantom buttons, and I'm guessing they're probably actually buttons in the interface that sometimes show the voiceover, sometimes don't. That could be an Apple bug though. I see that I see that in a few other apps too, where like there's just random button, but actually I can't tap that button to do anything with it. So, but yeah, no, it's been fixed. The growing pains were not that bad for me. But also, I just went back to the old version and got off the beta until he got it, and then I got back on the beta because he rewrote the app in Swift, and all of that, and it was a little rough. But Swift is. I was reminded of the early versions of 1Password 8 on iOS, which is why I had the beta of 1Password 8 so I could give feedback, but also had the store version of 1Password 7 still running because I needed the beta log into crap.
Yep, I remember those days. I do not miss them, but I remember those days when you tell Siri to open 1Password. Which 1Password would you like to open? You never open 1Password beta when I tell you to, so, anyways.
Yeah. But
so what's your podcast workflow nowadays, though?
It honestly hasn't changed. I've been meaning to sit down and spend a little time because I think Marco has added some new filtering / playback options and stuff for playlists in Overcast. But my workflow is typically this. When I get up in the morning, I usually listen to, while I'm having coffee, I'll listen to the previous day's DTNS. Depending on the day of the week, I'll be looking for a specific show to have come out. And if nothing is out or I've already listened to it or turns out I didn't want to listen to that particular episode, I'll poke around and see what I haven't listened to in a while or what may be. That's when I'll go poking into stuff like, Darknet Diaries or something and just pick a show. So I'm still manually just picking a show. Like there's no automatic playing of anything anywhere at any time. There's no ongoing playlist. There's nothing like that. The queue still exists in, I don't know if I made that playlist or if that's a built-in thing, but the queue is still there. I just don't use it. I don't use any playlist. I just manually go to the show and play it. So
I'm using Castro. I'm paying them on a monthly basis because I keep saying I'm going to cancel it and then they charge me and I'm like, I guess I'm using this another month. I should really just pay for a year and save, I think, $10 or whatever it is. But I get up and I jump into my inbox in Castro. Usually there's a couple of news podcasts posted there. So I will queue those up next by flicking down to add next to queue. There are a couple of there's a few shows that I'm subscribed to that I have to listen to them in sequential order because they're audio dramas that come out and you can't really jump to the next, like you got to hear them in the order that they come out in order to understand the story. And so I'll add those to end of queue because that means naturally I'll hear all of the episodes before the one that just came out. And then other shows I'll typically add to end of queue just so it keeps building up that queue. So anytime I 2-finger double tap, I'm either going to hear some really loud music or I'm going to hear a podcast resume. It's either one. You never really know. I mean, most of the time it's a podcast. And then if like a show comes out like Double Tap or Kelly and Rummy, I add them, or I'm sorry, Kelly and Co. I add them to the end of the queue. I think Double Tap and my news shows are the only ones that I typically will queue next, unless I'm subscribed to ACB Community, which there's a lot of content on that feed. But there are some calls in there that I kind of want to hear, and so I'll jump in there. And then I would say maybe once a week or so, I'll go into my queue. Like when Demasi and I talked about Castro a couple of days ago, I'm like, yeah, I got like 82 episodes in my queue or something like that, which is typically the case. And so every week or so I'll go in there and I'll be like, I'm actually not interested in that content. And then I delete it and then it'll trim it down. I think last time I looked at this morning, I went from 82 to like 41 or 42, something like that. So cut it in half by deleting some content, listening to content. But again, that's a ever evolving podcast radio show, for example, because it's like talk radio, but curated to what it is I want to hear with limited advertisements. I almost said no advertisements, but that's a lie because Cortex has ads and, some of these other shows have ads. So I think this has helped me with actually staying up on the podcasts I want. And I delete a lot out of my inbox. I have a lot of podcasts. I'm like, I'll just, not a lot. A lot is about perspective. I used to have Jeff's OPML, and I still have it somewhere, that had like 1,200 podcasts. I finally said, I can't do this anymore because this is ridiculous. And I think I'm down to like 14, 16 podcasts, something like that. But some of them, like I subscribe to Kim Commando and Kim Commando Today, and she has a third show. So Kim Commando does a weekly show that's 2.5 hours long. She does a 3 days a week show that's 45 minutes, and then she does a daily show that's like 5 minutes. So, it's how the episodes add up, even though I am subscribed to, I think it's probably actually like 20 to 25 podcasts. But even though I am subscribed to that amount, the reason I have 40 episodes is because some of those episodes take me, a little bit to get through, an hour to get through, because I'm listening at 2x speed usually. And that's my Castro workflow for the most part. Everything goes into my inbox. I've toyed with not putting some podcasts into my inbox because, especially those ones that I'm just like Darknet Diaries, for example, I want to listen to those, but I don't always want to listen to Darknet Diaries. So I got to take those out of my queue so I don't even see them, but it will keep downloading the episodes. So if I want to go listen to 3 of his episodes in a row, then I can.
Yeah, I think what I'm going, and part of the reason that I've not really built a playlist is because last time I built a playlist, I made a catastrophic mistake by adding certain shows that I don't listen to all the time.
Mm. Yeah.
So I've been paying attention to, so I can tell you what I routinely listen to. I've kind of fallen off of Double Tap, and is not really anything against Double Tap other than I got behind at some point and I felt like I needed to listen to all of them. And I was like, man, there's too many episodes. So I got to just
dive back in.
At some point, I just got to declare Double Tap bankruptcy and just pick a point to start from and work forward from there. But you look at the time, it's like, oh, they're talking about that. I want to hear about that. I really want to hear what people had to say to Steven about this on this episode after he said that in that episode, because I heard that one. So that means I got to hear this one to hear feedback. So, but I will Double Tap is one of those that I'll just jump into here and there, just kind of scroll through and see what's there. But I listen to Security Now every week. I've been listening to Twig just about every week now. Like maybe not as soon as it comes out, but before the week's over, or before the next week's episode is dropped, I'll probably listen to the previous week's Twig. This Week in Google for people who don't follow Twit. I don't actually listen to Twit, the main Sunday show, all that often.
So long.
It is a very long show. It's a very long show. I've been listening to Windows Weekly.
That's a long one too.
Here. That is a very long show. And Paul seems to get crotchetier every week. I'm waiting on him to just, welcome to Windows Weekly. Yeah, screw a Windows. Throw the mic down and just, Paul is left.
Windows Weekly's over. It's done.
Let's see, what else do I listen to? Connected, I try to listen to. It's actually your fault I listened to that show. Same with DTNS, actually. Like, I try to listen to at least the daily shows. Like, I don't necessarily catch all of, like, the little extras that they drop into the feed sometimes. I'm still a patron over there, though. I really wish I could afford to pay for everybody's show that offers some kind of plus or patron without the ads, because I really, really have started to, for the large part, hate podcast ads, because I don't like ads in general, for one thing. But some of the advertisers, like, I understand that the advertising business is very tight for podcasts, right now, but who are you targeting with this exactly?
Right. They're just throwing stuff at the wall to see who reaches out, because that is not me at all.
Like, who listening to this show falls into a category that needs that product? Like, what are you doing? Club to it, by the way, at $7 $6 a month, $12 a month, whatever I'm paying for it is worth it, for sure. I routinely listen to Accidental Tech podcasts, mostly because that's the place where I get some Apple news, not hot off the presses, if that makes sense. So it's not like a hot take of whatever's going on.
It's had time for more information to come out.
Yep. And also, if Apple has just done something stupid, like, they're going to tell you, it's going to be stupid. Like, they're not going to try to apologetically explain away why Apple did this thing that they did. It's like, no, they still make great computers and I love their software, but this was dumb. Or I don't understand why they do this.
I listen to 9 to 5 Mac daily. It's 6 minutes long, roughly. And usually that's a dishes episode.
Okay. Gotcha. But yeah, so my Mortex is a show that I try to keep up with. Trying to think what else do I routinely listen to. I really fell off the wagon with No Silicast. And same reason with DTNS. It's like, man, I'm so behind, but what about the security bits though? Like, I need to get those. It's like,
funny, Marty. It's like, just so you know, Allison gave us a shout out for our holiday gift guide that we published to Unmute last Friday. And, he's like, you should go listen. And I'm like, man, that's nothing against Allison, but that's a podcast that did not make it when I deleted everything. So I had to go re-add it and I'm just going to jump in on that last Sunday's episode.
Yeah, I'll do that at some point. And probably what I should do is go through and delete a bunch of podcasts and then see what I need to add back. Export my OPML, of course. But delete the podcasts that I don't necessarily know. But there's some stuff in there that's like, I know it's left over from a time when I was really trying to learn marketing. Like, man, what is this show? Hold on, I gotta actually find it now.
Was it those two guys that would give you like 5 minutes of tech or marketing advice? Neil Patel?
I think one show I'm subscribed to might be his. Let me see. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Okay. Malicious Life is that's one I kind of jump in and out of. The Martech podcast, Business School and Marketing Growth or something.
Yep.
Is that it? Okay.
Yep.
The Podcast Engineering Show. Remember that one?
I do remember that one. I haven't
listened to that in so long.
Yeah, it's been forever.
But I'm still subscribed to it. So, probably should clear that out. I'm going to try to. So let me see if I remember how Castro works. So there's the inbox, and when stuff goes in your inbox, it's basically like, here are all the new episodes that have come in, right? Like as they come in, they get added to the inbox. And then from there, what you're doing is adding them to your queue, whether it's queue next or add to end of queue.
Yep.
Okay. So I think those basic features are there. I'm going to attempt to duplicate something a little like that, not necessarily trying to duplicate what you're doing specifically, but there are shows I know I want to hear when they come out. So I'm going to try to see what I can do to make that happen. Cause I do like This Week in Google, cause it's not all about Google for one thing. It's a very interesting show, most of the time.
One of the things that I think separates Castro from Overcast, at least for me, is the action support. So I don't know if you can do this on Overcast, but on an episode, I can flick down and I can flick up to clear it out of whatever view I'm in, or I can flick down to queue next or queue last.
I will have to play with that, because I haven't really been using the actions. And of course, I'm not in any sort of view other than the main podcast, the list of the podcast itself. So I can delete it.
Right.
Makes it go away.
But that'll delete the podcast, won't it?
yeah, that actually, well, that deletes that episode. So like if I'm in the list of the episodes of Double Tap, right? Like I can flick up and delete an episode. It's like, I'm never going to listen to the, Steven talk about, I don't know.
Blind Barbie.
Shots fired by Mike.
Clear queue or clear view is also a handy one where you can just delete everything that's there.
I will play with, because one, there may be some feedback there from Margot just in general, because I don't know what's accessible in playlists and what may be broken or what isn't, because like I told him some years ago, I'm a terrible beta tester most of the times, especially for an app that I actually use on a regular basis, pretty much a daily basis. Cause I'm just going to use it the way I use it, and I'm not going to say anything to you unless the way I use it is broken. Then I'm going to tell you about it. Otherwise, like, I'm not really going to spend a whole bunch of time doing stuff in the app that I wouldn't ordinarily do. Now, if I open it and it crashes instantly, I'm going to send you an email.
You're going to hear from me.
Then I'm going to ping you in Slack.
One podcast that everyone needs to be subscribed to and make sure that their friends are subscribed to is technically working.
There you go. And with that, we're going to wrap it up for the week. Again, I'm not going to say first and foremost. I want to thank again our subscribers, our supporters, those of you who, like I said, you can do anything with your money you want to do because it's your money, and you choose to spend some of it with us each month. So thank you very much. You are all extraordinary people. Especially since you mean it, because you went back and had to resubscribe and you did that thing.
Right. We're just not one of those forgotten Patreon subscriptions that you just keep paying for and then wonder at the end of the year where the hell did all my money go.
What was I paying for? They hadn't published an episode in 6 months. What the hell?
Right.
There's actually one in my feed right now that I need to go and cancel.
Oh.
I don't remember when they last published an episode.
They should have canceled it for you. But anyways, and I know we talked about this quite a bit. Not quite a bit. We've talked off and on about it, but we have plans. Tip Jar subscribers are going to be the first to participate in when things start to build on technically working.
Yeah, we got some ideas. We'll let you in on them as we go through them. And as they happen, 2025 is the year that we're going to turn up the marketing. So we're going to, start providing, a lot of stuff, like ways for you to go leave a review in iTunes that I won't probably look at, but Mike will, because he gets all the emails, because all of the emails about the show go to his address.
I mean, we can fix that if you want.
Yeah, we'll fix it at some point.
They should go to the feedback email.
Show. That's how you can reach out to us. If you have questions, comments, thoughts, or if you think you may be a good fit to be on the show, because we are going to continue trying to get more guests in. We got somebody coming up pretty soon, actually.
Yeah.
That will be exciting. And
it's not Steven or Sean.
That's why I just said son of a bitch. God damn it. And it's not because I don't want Sean on my show. It's like I literally don't think about the show sometimes until Saturday. And it's like, oh, yeah, or until Mike pings me. What day are we recording this week? Is Saturday still going to be good? Nah, let's do Sunday. Okay. And that's the first time I've thought about the show. That is on a Friday, people. Yeah, we'll get him on too.
Yes.
For all you know, he could have been the special guest I was talking about, though.
It's not personal, Sean, if you're even listening.
Oh, he's not listening to my show then. Yeah. Well, I guess that's fair because I hadn't been listening to his lately. But thanks, everybody. You can, like I said, send us feedback at technicallyworking.show. You can follow him on Mastodon. He is Payon, Payown, at dragonscave.space. That's dragonscave.space. And I am still, because I'm still Damasi, Damashe, at unmute.community.
That might change one of these days. Maybe.
Yeah, eventually it will. I just got to go figure out Masto Host. And when I say figure out, I mean actually go to the website and like
pay him the $6.
Set it up. Yeah. Well, it's going to be more $6 because I want Elasticsearch though.
Yeah. So the $16.
Yeah. Because, that's probably worth it for the short, at least for a period of time. That is going to be worth it more than me trying to go figure out how to set up an Elasticsearch server.
You can just come to B-Sky. You could be Damasi at bsky.social.
Yeah, see, I don't really like that.
Yeah, I don't.
At all. I got to use
weird.
my own.
It's weird.
I got to use my own domain. Like I can't do the bsky.social. I'm also not sure I should be on the internet skating. I was just Hashtag technically working.
Capitalized TW.
So it was actually kind of funnier than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to be able to say it with a straight face, and I couldn't. It was meant to be funny, but I didn't think it was going to amuse me so much.